All right, hello and welcome back, everyone. This is David with Fairmare's Rangers, and we are picking back up with our first battle of week 2 of our 4v4 multiplayer tournament, nation versus nation. And in this one, obviously, it's France, and they are facing off against Great Britain. Now, this is France's first match in the tournament, as they had a bye week last week. Since there is 7 teams in each division, obviously there is an odd man out. So that would have been France. So now they are getting their first match. Last week in the first matchup, the British fell victim to the... God, I don't even remember. Well, they fell victim last week because they are 0-1. And they are trying to get their first victory of the season, and they have, I think it'll be 11 games, so they could do a complete turnaround, but they've got plenty of time to get their crap together, as we see the French rushing up to get a nice little attack on the British here. So the French are going right at it, right here in the center of the battlefield against the British. And the British were trying to secure a stake line here, and they are paying the price for that said stake line. So let's partake of the goodness here, and then we will shift over to other parts of the battlefield. But check out those sweet French lines getting their action in here. All right. So now, let's kind of see what's happening elsewhere on the battlefield, as the British are... Actually, it looks like over here on this bottom half of the battlefield, the British right flank of the British, the left flank of the French, they're really starting to push out, because it looks like the French player is way far back. So he's sitting extremely far back, and this is allowing the British to really take this flank. And the British player in the center is now pushing up to continue that flank. The British player on the left of the British flank is secured the hill, so both flanks have bowed out against, as you can see on the mini map here, where my cursor is, that the British are folding back the French on either flank, and only the center of the French is holding strong at this point. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what goes down. Actually, the little misclick by the British there. Looks like he got his Ferguson shot up. And things have quieted down here in the center quite a bit. But it does look like the center of this flank is going to start heating up. And you can definitely see that fires are being shot here. And getting some free kills on the French lines, or the Fergusons. And other than that, it's pretty stable here in the battle so far. All's quiet on the Western Front. We'll see if that continues. Yeah, so on the French right, we have still quite a bit of action going down. As you can see, a lot of volleys going at it right over here on this side. But not a lot of kills taking place, a lot of shots going up in the air. That's what happens when you tend to shoot at those units on the slopes. A lot of the shots miss and go flying harmlessly through the air. Okay, so it does appear that the British in the center are going to make a push, as their British right flank is secure. The French... Let's see what they do here. We've got Ferguson's just chewing them up here. You see the two line that are on the outside of that are just getting chewed down by the Ferguson riflemen. So, and now this is not going to bode well for this flanking French line, as he's going to get capped off by a couple of British lines. I guess they were trying to get rid of that militia there in the center. They ended up doing that, but got shot up pretty good in the as an exchange. Here we go. British are about to lose a militia, but the Fergusons are getting some good shots off on that French line there, taking down quite a few. This Ferguson rifleman can get after it. Everything's quiet in the center, and the British are really starting to make an attack here. So the British are very aggressive in this match, getting right after it. Light Dragoons have not fired yet. There goes one. Got a shot in. The Bulkley is standing behind the militia for a little protection. Looks like that other British Light Dragoon, and this is going to be problematic. The British goons are going to shoot each other here. That's unfortunate. The unfortunate things in battle. All right, so one of the problems is the British are not coordinating their attack very well. The center player on the top is not putting pressure on the center there, so the center attack is coming under pressure by two players. So that is a big problem. And it is going to translate to big problems for the British. All right, so French are losing a unit, but it's a militia. I mean, the British are definitely getting whittled down here. He does have some reinforcements that he is starting to move up into the fight. Other than that, on the flank, it looks pretty quiet. All right, so let's check out things in the center up here. Has now finally heated up. And they caught the French player with his pants down and got into his long range. Got some volleys into them. And the British are starting to make some advances off the slope of the hill now, but they are coming into a pretty heavily fortified French position. So even though they are making advances, it is coming at a price. And over here, things have really started heating up over here. And the French are getting some really good volleys into the British. The British are only pushing forward with militia and a few line. They should be going forward with everything. I know he's got more units and he's not pushing them up. Over here in the center, the British are not looking healthy. They still have some reserves to put in. But the British are losing unit after unit here on this flank. And it is starting to get whittled down. As you can see, the bloodshed. Looks like the Grenadiers are getting a throw in here on these French lines. We'll watch the bombs go off. Here goes another grenade throw. Looks like this one's falling a little short. That's unfortunate. Over here, everything seems to be really, actually, the action's mostly a skirmish fight. A lot of rifles whittling down the lines. There haven't been much line-to-line fighting over here. We got the French are a little outnumbered on this little portion of the battlefield. Let's see. The center is very weak for the British, though. Right here, they are starting to build up, but this is one of the problems. The British is facing off against the player in front of them. Also on the flank over here, the British is having to fend off the French from the opposing center on its left. So it's basically facing off against overwhelming odds. And that's going to bode disaster as the French go into the bayonet, and that's going to end up breaking both of these depleted British lines in the center. Now over here, let's see how things are progressing here. Since the British are not attacking with their full force, the French are taking them out in detail, one unit at a time. And they are moving forward, gaining some ground here in the center. You can see from the mini map that the battlefield is snaking all over the place. All right, now the British player in the center is finally bringing out its best troops to join the fight. You can see the guards coming forth. The tirailleurs of the French are about to start getting some shots off on them as they move their way forward. I can't remember what happened to the Fergusons of the... Okay, the Fergusons are in the background there shooting. You might be able to see way back in the back of the British. Okay. So obviously these guard units are extremely good for the British. So we'll see how the French combat this, as the Bulkleys, which is a really is getting some shots in, as does this French line here, and they are moving back. Obviously it is a death sentence to stay in range of those while you reload, because while you're reloading they continually lay fire on you and they will continually whittle you down. So the French are getting their volleys in and rolling their lines back, giving themselves time to reload out of firing range. So you can see here, the action is pretty sweet from off this little cliff. Liking that. Whoops. Go into binocular view here. Pretty nice. You can see those guards do start cutting down the lines pretty quick. So you can see here the French are almost finished reloading. A couple of the units have, so they're starting to fire. But that's the ability that gives you to run back. If you're the British, you got to keep pushing in their face. You can't allow them to roll back and reload. Over here on this flank, it is starting to get to the end game, as the British and the French have whittled themselves down quite a bit. And the British are trying to continue this push off the slope of the hill. Again, the British have made progress moving down, but it has come at a massive cost. Massive cost. As you can see, the French definitely have the upper hand here. And the British are now being repelled. Their attack is repelled in the center. And this center has been repelled as well. There is not really anything here. The French player here is starting to make a counter attack. And this is actually a really good move. It's at the perfect time. The British have been very whittled down. And you can see over here the French on this flank as well are starting to make a counter attack. And we're starting to get line to line engagement finally on that flank. Okay. So we'll see how this goes down. This player on the side here looks like trying to get his Coldstream up, but I don't think they're going to make it. They are already started wavering and they are gone. So it looks like the British are going to lose this flank. They obviously, you can see their lines are extremely whittled down. They're up against 3 guard units here on this flank, and that's going to be way more than they can take on. So the British have lost their left flank, the French right, and the center is still fairly secure on the right. But the center and the left is completely being buckled under. As you can see, the French are starting to make some pretty strong advances. As the bayonet has been fixed, my friends. And they are having none of it. Yep. The British are in complete retreat here. So now the British forces will be split into 2 fractions. This faction here will be left, and then on the right there will be another faction. So they're both on their own now. They cannot connect and group their armies up, which is always what you want to do. You always want to keep your armies together. So if you are having problems in your center, it is important to fall back and reinforce the center of your position. If you're going to die there, you might as well die there rather than splintered off and destroyed in detail. So we have another French counterattack coming, as you can see. We'll see what goes down here. Looks like the British, I can't say British anymore. The British are going to start moving out, trying to get out of this. And the French are having none of it. They're going to send their cav in, what's left of it, to do a charge to try to slow their retreat down. And apparently get impaled on the stakes as well, as that stake line is right there. So we'll see. He does pull the cav out, and you can see here, and this is the remnants of that force. It is pretty much a goners. There's nothing there. The French have now, that was formerly in the center, he's got some of his men running them down, and he is now attacking the British player on its flank. So the flanks are being wrapped up, and you can see he's very weak in front of the pretty strong force of French in front of him. And over here, the remnants of the two French players are now attacking the final British player on this flank. Sorry, Britain, it's not looking good. It's not looking good. French are coming after you, hot and heavy. All right, so I think we are getting close to the end of this, my friends. If you are enjoying this, please don't forget to hit the like button. It does help the video get exposure. It's not usually a word I like using, but exposure helps on YouTube. So don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. I know, you guys know the drill, and I hate to say it. Also, the channel has opened up memberships. So if you are interested in joining the Faramir's Rangers, there is the button to join, so you can do that. And the price to join is $4.99 a month. And that will help me to be able to continue to purchase and provide content for you, because I do buy software to record and edit these videos. Obviously this one is not as edited as a lot of them, but you will see a lot of good edited content from me, and that is appreciated if you guys can help out a little bit. If not, it should not change your experience in any way, but if you are able to join, things you will be able to get are member-only live streams, and also members-only videos, early access to new releases, and also other perks such as emojis and all that good stuff. So if you have ever thought about joining, I definitely would appreciate it. And let's move on to the battle. Things have definitely wrapped up here. The British are in complete contact. We have melee happening. The British player on this flank has a pretty sizable force, but he is now being surrounded from both sides. Although it does look like the French player that was facing him is slow to move up here. So I guess he wants his ally to get the kills that he would have gotten. That's not how I roll. I like to get them all to myself. So this game shall be in the book. So the French are going to go to 1-0 after this, and the British are going to fall to 0-2, winless on the season. Don't fret if you're a fan of Great Britain, my friends. There is still time to turn this around. Once again, they do face off against each nation twice, so they can even the odds against the French, and that could help their case in trying to make a run for one of these playoff spots for the championship. Yeah, the British are done up here, 1 unit left, and it looks like that should die, and down here it is done. But anyways, if you are interested in playing in some of these tournaments, please hit me up on Steam. You can find me there and send me a friend invite, and I can try to help invite you to some of these battles. As the British rout off, they saw the end was nigh, and there it is. It is in the books. Anyways, we should have the other battles being uploaded soon. It is taking a little longer to upload these battles, so I'm trying to get them out to you as quickly as possible. Thanks again, guys. We will see you for the next battle and finishing off week 2 of this tournament.